Hello residents of MeepleTown. Today I'm a railroad owner and I'm going to be expanding my railroad, connecting to different towns, trying to connect to different areas of the wild frontier in order to be able to complete objectives and score the most points at the end of the game in Pioneer Rails. Let's get to the table and check it out. Okay, here is the setup for Pioneer Rails. I'm going to be playing a two-player game. I'll be playing both players, just kind of showing you that. There is a solo mode for this game, but I will just be showing how to play two players. That way you get an idea of how this is going to play with multiple players. Up top, you're going to notice we've got these objective cards right here. If you complete one of these objectives at the end of the round, you'll be able to get the 10 points if you're the first one, or 5 points if you're the second one. I'll explain what those do as we go along, but I'll explain those a little bit later. Basically, on your turn, whoever's the first player, and I'm just going to take this little marker right here and say this is the first player, and that's going to switch from turn to turn. They're going to flip over 3 cards here, and these are just normal playing cards, the suits, normal suits, and then from 10 to ace is what we're going to have in this deck. Now, what you're looking at is you're looking at the suit, and you're also looking at the value of this. So I've got an ace of clubs. The ace is going to be playing towards my hand. The clubs is going to be playing from, going to determine which station I'll be able to move out from. So on your turn, if you're the first player, you're going to flip over those 3 cards. Then you're going to take one of these cards. So let's say I take this one. I'm just going to take this ace of clubs here, and I'm going to put it, I'm just going to put it down here so you can still see that this player is taking this card. Now, what they're going to do in the first round, this game plays over 4 rounds, and whoever has the most points at the end of the game is going to be the winner. I'm going to take the value of that card and I'm going to put it down on my sheet. So I'm just writing down the ace here. Now, this is going to be my poker hand. Now, if you've played poker, you know that often the suits matter, but not in this game. You're actually just looking at the value there. Now, the second thing I'm going to do on my turn is I'm going to draw out from this station. So the club station here, I'm going to draw out 3 lines from here. Now, I can be from the station, or it can be from a line that you already have going out from there. So as you can see, these are hexes, so you've got 6 different options of where you can move out from. Now, the key to this game is how you move out from those stations, because you have lots of different areas, different hexes that you can go to. And I'll explain those as we go, but just to give you a general idea, we've got all these listed over here, and they're pretty simple. So the first one's gonna be a mine. If I draw 1 line, if you see on here that I've got a 1 on this mine right here, if I draw 1 line on that, I get to collect a gold from that mine, which means I'm just gonna circle this from here, and that's it. At the end of the game, it's gonna be worth 1 point for each gold that I have, even if it's crossed off. Now, how do I spend gold? I spend the gold at the bank. And if you look down here, we've got a bank here, and the bank has a value 3. That means I'm going to have 3 lines surrounding that bank. And when I do that, I can then sell up to 4 gold. And I can do that 3 times during the game. And each one of those is going to be a multiplier. The first one, you're just going to take that, multiply it times 1. All the way up to the 3rd bank that you complete, you're going to multiply it times 3 to get those points. Then I have this fort right here. The fort is, you're just gonna surround the fort with 4 lines on there. And when I say lines, you'll see how all that plays out. Then I'm just gonna circle the fort and get those points at the end of the game for how far I am to the right. So if I complete 3 forts, I'm gonna get 24 points, as you can see on there. Cattle is a little bit different because you're not actually drawing the lines on the cattle hexes. You're just trying to block off the cattle from other cattle. And every time you do that, you're going to cross off the cattle on that hex. And then you're going to circle this. At the end of the game, you're going to get points for how far along you are with that cattle track. The rail yard is going to be a multiplier for your station lines that you have out to the town. So if you see these little yellow dots out throughout here, if I connect a station to that, I get to cross off, I get to circle one of the towns showing that I have connected to that. Well, at the end of the game, if I have, let's say, 3 rail yards, I'm going to multiply 7 times 1 station per, that's connected to however many towns. So if this one station is connected to 3 towns and I've got 3 rail yards completed, then that's going to be 21 points at the end of the game. Then, as I mentioned, these towns, those are going to give you a point, but also they're going to give you abilities throughout the game, which is going to be very important. If you can see this, and you're not going to be able to see it really well, normally you can only just draw 3 lines on your turn from the station that you draw the card from. If you cross off one of your towns that you have, and everyone starts off with 1, then you're going to be able to do these special things. I'll be able to build a bridge across the river. I'll be able to build through the mountains, a tunnel through the mountains. I'll be able to, if I take a club here, but I don't want to draw from that club station, I'll be able to change the suit of the card. I can draw a shortcut in the middle of a hex. I can, normally you can only draw from one like continuous line, but I can, if I cross off a town, be able to then split off, have a little split track there and kind of go a different direction. And so there's different abilities that you'll be able to do with that. And also on top of that, you get an additional track to build. So instead of 3 that time, you'd be able to build an additional 1. So let's go ahead and jump into it so you can see how this plays out without me just explaining it. So this is player 1. They've drawn their ace here. The first thing they're going to do, they're going to draw 3 lines out from the club station. They can change that if they want, but they're not going to. And I think what they're going to do is draw 1 line here. I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see that. I might have to change my markers. 2 here, and then I'm going to go 3 up here. Okay, now I completed this because I have 1 line. I didn't need both of these. I only needed 1 attached to this gold mine right here. So I'm going to cross off that gold mine. And if you cross off multiple in a turn, you can determine however you want to do that. And then I have a gold. So I'm going to circle a gold up here so that hopefully in later turns I'll be able to excuse me, I'll be able to sell those at the bank. One thing I didn't mention also was the saloon. You can see these on here. These are the red hearts. If I complete a saloon by putting 2 lines on that saloon space, I'll be able to circle this, and that's going to be a multiplier for points that you get at the end of the round. I didn't mention that, but the higher poker hand that you have, the better poker hand that you have, the more points that you'll get at the end of the round. You'll see that because I'll play through an entire round. I'm going to try to switch markers here to this and see if you can see this a little bit better. I still think you can see that well. Now, the other players, in this case we've only got 1 other player, they're going to look at the rest of these and they're going to pick one. Now, I'm not going to take this card because everybody gets to choose from the leftover 2 that are here. Well, there's only 2, both of those are queens, so I'm going to have to draw a queen in here, but I need to decide, do I want to draw out from the diamond station or do I want to draw out from that club station? Well, there's a lot more stuff going on down here with the club, but if you look up here, I didn't mention these objectives and what exactly they do, but now's a good time to explain that because it might make my decision of where I draw out from. This first objective says that if I sell 5 gold, the first player to sell 5 gold to a bank is going to get this 10 points. Anyone else after that's going to get 5. Next, if I build 2 tunnels through mines, through the mountains, then I'll be able to get that bonus there. And if I build 2 bridges from different stations there, then I will be able to, yes, from 2 different stations, then I'll be able to get the bonus points for that one. So I'm trying to think, this one doesn't necessarily have to be, at least according to the rules that I have, doesn't necessarily have to be from 2 different stations. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw out from this diamond area here because I'm closer to a river, and so if I can get a bridge across this river here and then maybe over here in the spades be able to do that, I'll be able to get that maybe even in the first round as long as I can connect to a town. So that's something else I need to consider, is I need to connect to a town in some way. So I'm going to let's go this way. I'm going to go out from the diamond here. I'm going to go 1, 2, and then I'm going to draw my 3rd one here. And this is going to set me up for next round to be able to connect to this town. And also right now I have already got the multiplier for the saloon. So I'm going to circle this down here. So for this round, whatever score that I score with my poker hand, I'm going to double that score. Now I'm going to try to do that every single round because you can get a lot of points by doing that. And that's it. That's the end of the round. I'm going to take these, put these into the discard. You probably won't be able to see these. Just kind of put these over here off the camera. Now it is, this player is going to be the start player for this round, flip over 3 cards. We're going to do exactly the same thing. First thing, again, remember they're going to pick a card, and that's going to go into their poker hand first, and then be able to determine which station I want to draw out from. Now, I do want to be able to draw this bridge, and so this king becomes interesting. I would love to be able to take that just to be able to draw out from the diamond. And I think I have to do that. And also that kind of limits what they're going to be able to do on their turn. They're going to be forced to take that jack even if they didn't want to do that. So again, this is player 2's card that they have here. First thing they're going to do is write that king down here. And so far I have a queen and a king. So one thing I might be thinking is, do I want to try to get a straight, which is going to be 5 points at the end of the game. You probably, at the end of the round times that multiplier. You probably can't see, it's probably a little small, but just know that you're going to get 1 point for a pair, 2 points for 2 pairs, 3 points for a 3 of a kind. Full house is going to give you 4 points. A straight is going to give you 5 points, and then 4 of a kind is going to give you 6 points. Times whatever multiplier you have right here. So I am going to cross off this town so that I can build a bridge, and I've already got that's my 1 extra bonus track that I have right there. So I already have 1 going towards this one right here. Now I'm going to go ahead and draw my first of 3. That's 1, and I will connect to that, which means that I'm going to get to circle a town. Now that's going to allow me to build another bridge from somewhere else. Now I can't just go down here and build a bridge over here. It has to be 2 separate stations. So I'll probably want to do that with the spades if I get a chance to do that a little bit later. I would love to be able to go up and take this gold, but I don't want to use what I have, my only town space to build through that tunnel. However, that is another one of the goals, and I would be halfway to getting that one as well. So I think I will just go ahead and do that, as much as that pains me to just use my only other town ability that I have. I am going to build a tunnel through here, and then I still have 2 extra tracks here, and I have this town up here that I'm going to try to move up to. So I'm going to go 1, 2, cross off that gold, and now I've got a gold to hopefully be able to sell to a bank later, and I'm only 1 away from this town ability up here. So I'm kind of hanging out in this diamonds up here. Lots of other stuff to do down here, but that's what player 2 is going to do. Now player 1 has these 2 cards left over, so I'm for sure going to take a jack because I have no option in doing that. So there's a jack. I've got ace and jack. Not sure what I'm going to do with that yet, but we'll figure that out later. I have to determine, do I want to go from the club area or do I want to go from the hearts? What I want to do is, since I already have a gold, I think I'm going to go ahead and start focusing on getting some gold down here. There's a bank down here. So I'm going to go that direction. I'm going to go 1. And let's go 2, 3 for this player. Now I've spent 2 spaces. You want to be efficient in this game as much as you can. So if you don't have to do more than 1 side on a gold mine, you don't want to do that if you can help it, but it is what it is because I need to get down to that bank at some point as well. So I'm going to circle my second one. You can sell a max of 4 to a bank. So I'm going to try to max that out every time that I can to get the max amount of points, but also it allows me to be able to get that bonus a little bit faster. So turns, very quick. Discard these. We're already on the 3rd turn. I'm going to turn that one over to this player. It's going to be the first player this round. We got a 10, jack, and an ace, all of diamonds, which is not what this player necessarily wants, but I can start working towards some things up here. Now, I already have an ace, and I already have a jack. Now, last round, I don't remember what came out that first round, but last round I do know that 2 jacks were out there. So I do think I'm going to take this jack, because the value, if I have a pair of aces, that's no better than a pair of jacks. I'm still going to get the same amount of points. So I'm going to take that jack, mark that in here, and then hopefully maybe I can get another jack or ace later to get more and more points on that. So let's see. I've got 3 lines that I'm going to draw out from the diamond, and I wouldn't mind getting this multiplier. I do need to think through that, and I also wouldn't mind building through this, but I'm going to hold off on building a tunnel through there right now and just focus 1, 2, 3. Got 2 lines there. I'll cross off my saloon. That's going to circle this down here. It's going to be a multiplier for this player as well. I'll focus on getting some of this stuff a little bit later, which is going to put me behind this player, but I've got a plan for getting points other places. You can get points, a lot of points with these objective cards, but it's not the end of the world if you don't complete those. I've won games where I've completed way less than the other player. So I'm going to focus on my points, getting them in other areas. Now, building a diamond from here, do I want an ace or a 10? Doesn't really matter that much for this player, other than I guess I'm going to try to go for a straight if I can. So I'm going to take this ace. I think there was another ace that came out. There was at least one other one, and I don't know if there's a 10, so I have a better odds of getting a 10 later on from this deck. Now, not all of these cards are going to come out, so you don't know exactly what you're going to have. And then I'm going to draw 3 lines out from the diamonds, and let's just go 1. That's going to connect me with another town. And then I will go to, what should I do here? I'm going to go 2, 3, and then try to move towards completing this fort over here. Now, look at the cattle. Cattle are a little bit different. You notice there's not a number here. I just need to separate this cattle from other cattle in the game. Well, now this cattle, and you separate by your lines, also by the stations, by the water, by mountains. So as long as it's surrounded by all of that stuff and cannot make a line to another cattle, it's good. And so I'm going to mark off this one to show that I have collected a cattle. So now I might be thinking, I've got 1. If I can separate a ton of those, if you separate a bunch of them, all of them I think, then you can get 40 points. Never done that before, but I have gotten a lot of points from those cattle just by blocking them off from other areas. And you often do that while you're doing other actions anyway. So that is the end of round 3. We'll discard these, put that first player marker over here. It's going to be their turn. King comes out, which is kind of good for them. Ooh, kind of not good either, because what they wanted is to go for a straight, but I have a queen, a king, and an ace, and that's all that came out here. So that is pretty unfortunate for this player in going that route. It just means I need to shift my thinking a little bit. Player 2 needs to shift their thinking, and they're just going to decide based on which station they want to build out from, and that be their decision. Now remember, I said earlier I do want to try to build out from this spade station so that if I can build a bridge, then I've got my second bridge and get that bonus here. So I am going to go ahead and take this queen. Although I can hate draft in this one too and take the ace because I know that they need the ace. But I think I would rather focus on being able to build that extra bridge and just getting those bonus points as fast as I can. So I'm going to write the queen in here. Now I've got spades over here, and I'll just move somewhere down over here. Or do I want to go ahead and just build the bridge right now? I think I will. I'm going to go 1, 2, cross this one off. That's going to give me my bonus 1. And then 3. So I've now connected to this, which gives me my second gold. And I've built my second bridge, which is going to give me 10 points here at the end of the round. I can go ahead and do that now so I don't forget. That's usually what I do, but I'll do it the way that the book says to do it. So good round for player 2 so far in being able to get a bonus right off the bat. That's huge because there's no way that player 1 is going to be able to do that. So player 1's got the king and the ace. I am going to go ahead and take the ace in hopes that an ace or a jack comes out that final round so I can get a full house, which is worth 4 points times my multiplier. Now I'm building out from the heart station since I did choose the ace, and I will again focus on getting some more gold so that I can sell that to a bank. Now, which direction do I want to go? I think I want to also work on this rail yard and then maybe get some multipliers for, let's see, 1, 2, 3, for connecting to different towns, excuse me, from a station. So I'll cross off that gold here, give me my third one. If I can get one more, I'd love to be able to do that so I can connect with this bank over here. But even if I don't, getting 3 points is pretty good as well. That is that round. Final round goes back over to the first player. 10 comes out. Another 10 comes out. Unfortunate for them. Actually, for both of them. Neither one of them want 10s. And then a queen. Now, player 1 knows that player 2 needs that queen to be able to get 3 of a kind. I don't need any of those things. So there could be some hate drafting coming up from player 1 just because I don't care about the value of any of those. I'm not going to be able to get better than a 2 pair. That being said, I also need to think through the station things, and getting this bonus is going to be helpful for me. What to do. I also have got something going on up here where I'm connecting with that rail yard. So I think, this is a tougher decision than I would like it to be. There's a lot of different options I can go with. I do like the idea of being able to sell, and I think that's what I'm gonna do. Even though I don't have fully what I want to be able to max out my points, getting 3 isn't bad either. So I'm going to get I'm gonna write my 10 in here, which doesn't help towards my poker hand. But from the club station, I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, and now I have 3 lines connected to the bank, which is exactly what I need. I'm gonna cross off that, and I will sell 1, 2, 3 gold. Multiplied times this is going to be 3 points. 3 points is not a whole lot of points. However, it puts me closer to being able to complete these other ones. The thing about this game, you can't do everything, and so it does put me closer to being able to sell at these other ones, and maybe I can max those out and get more points, and right now just kind of do what I can do. And it gets me a little bit closer to completing this objective right here. So I'm okay with that turn, even though it's not completely maximizing the amount of points that I can get. Now it's over to the second player for their last turn of this round, and I am for sure going to take this queen. I don't quite know what I'm going to do from the heart station yet, but I'm not as concerned about that. I think what I'll do, since I've got some gold going on here, and I can connect down, get closer to connecting down to that town to be able to give me some extra bonus actions, that's the route that I'm going to go. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and I'll cross off that gold. And now I've got 3 gold, and puts me a little bit closer to being able to sell at a bank. And in fact, it's not out of the question that player 2 can come in and sneak this one right off the bat. And I mentioned this earlier that I was going to forget, and I sure enough did. When I built in the 4th round, when I built that second bridge, I did complete that objective. So I am going to circle this, showing I got 10, whoops, not that one, this one, 10 points here. And now the other player, since they didn't complete that, they have to cross off that 10 over here, showing that they can still complete it. They're only going to get 5 points instead of the 10 that they would normally get. That is going to do it for player 2. I don't think I left anything else out of there. So now what we do at the end of the round, we're going to sum up the points that we have. Player 1 only has 2 pairs. They were hoping to get that full house, but it is what it is. But 2 pairs is going to be worth 2 points times my saloon multiplier. So that is going to be 4 points for player 1. Player 2, excuse me, got a 3 of a kind. And that's worth 3 points. Multiplied times 2 is going to be worth 6 points. Now, that is the end of the complete first round. I think I keep saying round. I think it was turns that I was taking, and that was the first round that we just finished up. We're going to take all these cards, we're going to shuffle them back in there, and then we're going to do the whole thing over again, scoring for the second round, third round, and fourth round. Again, gaining points throughout the game. At the end of the game, we'll get points over here in the same way that I mentioned at the beginning. Just to kind of give you an idea of which each player is going. The first player really is thinking, I'm going to complete this objective by selling more and more gold to the bank and getting a lot of points there as a multiplier. But also, I'm working towards this fort here, which can give you a lot of points. If you can get 3 forts completed, you'll get 24 points. And so they're thinking, I'm close to this one over here. This one's not too difficult to get to, and also this one down here. So there's lots of options for this player to be able to work on their forts. This player really has been focusing mostly on objectives right now, just trying to get those out as fast as they can, but they're going to need to pivot at some point and think, I have to get points some other place. They do have points from blocking off the cattle, and so they might be thinking, that might be a direction I'll go. I'll maybe sell some gold to the bank, but also try to complete some of this cattle ranching points as well. So that is it for how the game plays. One thing I didn't mention, and I do have these, so I'm going to pull them back from over here. This is the player sheet that we've been playing off of. This is, and you know all the rules to this one. The other sheet that I have is this green one, and this one works quite a bit different. You notice that we've got some different scoring things going on over here. How this is going to work, the big difference in this one is that you're going to be going around collecting or arresting bandits, and you have to make sure that you have cells available to arrest those bandits. And so you're going to have to be able to go around and get new cells. You do start off with one cell, but you need to get more, because otherwise if you go to arrest bandits and you don't have the cells to put them in, you're going to lose points. And so that becomes a little bit of a challenge. And basically there's some other changes. That's the biggie. The other one biggie is in the saloon, you're actually going to be able to get cards. Once you complete a saloon, you can circle one of these, and for every card of those that you take, you're going to get a bonus point, which that can be huge, but it also shifts the way you think about the values that you're taking and the stations that you're building out from. So quite a bit of a different game, and the Kickstarter will have more of these as well, which is super exciting because a lot of the variety comes from these different sheets, and it becomes a very different game. So I'm excited to see what else comes out from that. But let's talk about a little bit the art and components. There's not a whole lot of art and components. Just keep in mind that anytime we do this, it is these Kickstarter previews are prototype, and that's exactly what we have here. These sheets are perfectly fine, though. I would imagine that, you know, this is going to be pretty much close to what it is. I tend to, if I can pull this out of here, whoops, maybe I can't. I'm gonna have to dump this box out here. I laminate them. So I've been playing these over and over again on these laminated sheets, which I'm completely fine with that. I'm not sure exactly what the Kickstarter is going to have. The cards, I will say the card art is just beautiful on this, and I would love to play a full, card games in this deck. The objectives cards are really cool. There's a lot of objective cards. You actually have objective cards for this version that we were playing, but also the greenback ones are going to be objective cards for the other map that we looked at, which adds a ton of variety in the game. There's also different modes of playing. You can play with Joker, there's a solo mode, there's other rules I'm sure I'm forgetting in this, but this gives you a gist, and the way that we played is kind of the main, simpler way to play to play Pioneer Rails. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a good idea in how Pioneer Rails plays out, at least the initial map that I was playing with. A lot of really cool things going on. Now, one thing you need to know about myself is I'm on this big roll and right, flip and right kick, trying to play all of the ones that I can. And I'm going to tell you, I never go into a full review whenever I do these previews. I just want to give you a good idea of how it plays. But this one really didn't disappoint. It does exactly what I want it to be able to do. The actions are very simple, but they're also thinky, because you do have to make those difficult decisions. Do I want to take this card in order to be able to build out from the station that I really know that I need to do this, right? I have to be able to complete these objectives or get to this different area of the map that I want to be able to get to, so that's important. But also, I really want this ace so I can complete my set and be able to get, a full house or whatever I need to be able to get. But on top of that, if you're the player that's actually able to take the card, you really do want to pay attention to what the other players are doing, because you don't want to just give away points. If you're letting somebody take 4 of a kind, for example, and they have the saloon bonus, that's huge. Getting 12 points is a lot from that poker hand. So you do have to think, okay, I really want this card, but I'm going to have to do a little bit of a hate draft. If that's your style. If it's not your style, you don't have to do that. But a lot of times it's the ideal thing to do to be able to get the most points or prevent the other player from getting the most points. The way that the different areas of the map work with each other so well, I love that. I think it's cool that you're going around, you're going to the mines to get gold, and then you're taking that to the bank. And so there's this 2-step process. And also you have to go to build the railroad rail yards. When you do that, you also need to be able to connect to the towns, and so you have to think about that 2-step process as well. And you can't do everything in this game. That's the one thing. I cannot do all of those things to get a ton of points in cattle and get a ton of points in the banking, and also get a lot of points from the forts. You just don't have enough action, so you have to think, what's the best possible route for me to go, or the thing I need to do to keep the other player from doing what they want to do, and do that and really kind of hone in on that. Forts. If I want to build forts, maybe I need to say forget cattle, because I can probably get about the same amount of points, but it's just going to make more sense for me to do this based on whatever area I'm moving in, whatever cards come out. So I really like those interesting decisions that you have to make. I think this is exactly what I'm looking for in these type of games and roll and writes and flip and writes. I want simple rule set, something that's very easy to understand, very easy to teach, but also has really good decisions to be made. It's not just the obvious thing. It's not always obvious. You sometimes have to make grueling decisions. And the fact that you do have some wiggle room with your town actions that you can take, I really enjoy that too, because you're not just stuck with the suit, for example, or building out from the specific station, but you do have some options of what you can do if you are going around collecting those different town actions, which can also turn into points and even point multipliers later on in the game. So if this is something that interests you, I'm gonna have the Kickstarter link in the description. Hopefully this is something that will pique your interest at least. The design team, Matthew Dunstan and Jeffrey Allers, are really what drew me into this and wanted to be able to check this one out for in the first place. So highly recommend checking that out if this is something that you are interested in doing. If you would like to connect with MeepleTown, we do have a podcast. You can go to look up MeepleTown and all the different ways you can get your podcast. You can connect with us through social media at MeepleTown Games. Go to our website, meepletowngames.com. And if you feel so inclined to support this channel, ask that you subscribe and also click the like button for this video if it's something that you enjoy watching. But also, if you are interested in supporting us financially, you can go to our Patreon. That link is going to be in below, as well as supporting us through buymeacoffee.com. So until next time, thanks for coming down to MeepleTown. Thanks for joining us, and thanks to our Patreon supporters for making content like this possible. If you would like to become a Patreon supporter, go to patreon.com/MeepleTown. To follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, find us at MeepleTown Games. Finally, to connect with us and other residents of MeepleTown, you can join Guild 3407 at BoardGameGeek.com. Until next time, thanks for coming down to MeepleTown.